Hey guys, welcome back to Custom Customs and welcome back to another episode on the 75 Blazer. So the last episode we got a majority of the metalwork all finished up. In this episode we are going to finish up all the little metalwork that we have left. So we have to delete this fuel door right here. We also have to redo this patch right here that I did when I first started. And then we have to make sure that this thing is completely disassembled. So all the hinges have to come off, all the bolts have to come out. And then lastly, we have to strip as much as we can before we send this thing off to blast. So I'm gonna start in the back and work my way forward. I'm gonna start with this patch first. Remember we did this one in the last episode. It's gonna be the exact same process. And then I'm gonna do this patch right here. So let's get started on those.
Okay, so now that I got that ugly patch that I put in cut out of the way, I also had to cut out a piece of that rear brace just because it was all rotted out. It was actually the same thing on the other side, so I had to do the same process. So now I'm going to coat it with the rust seal, that way I don't have to worry about it rusting again. So once I got everything treated, I welded in the patch to that lower brace. And so now it's time to move on to cutting up the floor and getting the floor fit into place. Okay, so I got all the pieces cut and mocked up into place. So now I'm pretty happy with where they are. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pull everything off. Actually, I have to drill spot holes so that I can do spot welds to the rear brace. And then I also have to prep all of the edges. That way we can get good penetration and good welds. Okay, so all of the holes are drilled, all of the edges are prepped, and the magnets are pretty much holding the pieces in right where I want them to be. I also made sure to grind all the spots where the welds were going to be, and I coated that with weld-through primer. You can't actually weld over the rust seal because it bubbles so bad and it does not get good penetration, so that's why I grind it and I use the weld-through primer on those areas. That way they are coated, but your welds also penetrate.
Okay, so this patch is finished in the back. Pretty cool. So I'm gonna move to this last patch right here, get it cut out of the rest of the bed that I have, and then I think that'll pretty much finish up all the metalwork in the rear of the Blazer. Okay, so I got that piece all the way finished up. You can see it's right there. So pretty much the entire rear is all the way finished. What I'm gonna do now is I actually have the shop blocked off. So I got my curtain closed because we are going to start stripping the bed sides. So I'm gonna use my tool from Harbor Freight and get all my protective equipment on. You don't wanna be breathing any of this dust in. It's pretty bad for you. So really all I'm looking to strip is anything that the sandblaster may warp. And so I'm gonna be stripping both bed sides all the way around. And then I'm gonna see how well it works on the Rhino line job that I did underneath. I didn't prep this very well when I did it, so hopefully it comes off super nice. But I'm gonna get started on that and get started stripping these bed sides and make some dust. Okay, well, one of the bedsides is pretty much all the way finished up. This tool strips it pretty dang fast, so probably took me about a half an hour to strip that all the way down here. And if you guys want to see the most beautiful patch you've ever seen in your lives, look at that right there. That is gorgeous. So definitely going to be redoing that and making it look a little bit better. So now we're going to jump over to the passenger side and we are going to strip the entire top of this bedside. So this side is stripped as well. It looks super good. The metal's actually not in as terrible condition as I remember. I didn't really treat this, so it was still rusting underneath. Same thing with all of this up here. So it's gonna be nice to get this blasted. This just kind of shows how important it is to use a good epoxy primer, because the whole purpose of that is to seal all of the metal underneath. That way it won't rot anymore. And then it will also, as long as you treat all of your rust underneath the panel, then it will really never come back if you use a nice epoxy. So that's pretty cool. Blazer is pretty much ready to go and get blasted. You can see why I closed the curtain, because there is dust everywhere in this room and I'll be able to actually sweep it up now instead of it being all over the garage. So that is pretty much it for stripping the Blazer. I already stripped the doors, I already stripped the tailgate, so all of that's ready for blast. So pretty much the next time I will see you guys is when we are getting ready to load this thing on the trailer to take it over to get blasted. So I will see you guys in a couple of days. Okay, so it's been a couple of days. Oh, it's not been a couple of days, it's been a couple of weeks. Okay, so it's actually been a couple of weeks. We got the Blazer over there with the Cutlass and he started to blast, but he actually ran out of media. So he just got the firewall blasted and then really didn't finish any of the underneath. So we're gonna get the Blazer loaded on the trailer right now and then bring it over, and it's gonna get blasted tomorrow morning.
So now it's the next morning and I was heading over to get a Blazer blasted. I really thought that we got all of the rust taken care of, but I found a couple surprises once the blaster was finished with it, which is absolutely insane because we've replaced so much of this truck already. I really didn't think we were going to find more rust. But then again, looking back at the pictures when I first got it, it was really rusty and I had no idea. So the first round of blasting was all finished up and he was actually refilling his trailer with media. That way he could continue blasting. The Rhino line was coming off decently well, but there were a couple spots that it was really taking a long time. Since Rhino line has a lot of rubber in it, it's extremely hard to get off while blasting, so he has to sit there for a while until it comes completely off. So now this was after he finished blasting the entire body, and I was stoked to see the entire Blazer all the way metal. Like, this is a big step forward, and I'm excited to get this thing done. And you can see how much sand was still on the body and on the trailer, but don't worry, it all blew off on my drive home and created a huge dust cloud.
Okay, so the Blazer is back home after blast, and we found more issues. We found more rust. There's more patches that we're gonna have to do, which, I mean, that's kind of expected. This truck was so rusty when I got it. I knew that there was gonna be a couple of issues here and there. So be sure to stay tuned for the next episode when we go over the Blazer. We address all of the issues that we are having rust-wise, and then hopefully finish up the metalwork on this and get it off the body cart. So thanks so much for watching, and I will see you guys next time. Peace out.